are these dials right here. What is going down, you awesome, vicious, and delicious camera geeks? It is Sam from CameraLegend.com, and we are back today. And today I am so excited to share with you guys an awesome camera legend. This camera legend shocked the world in 2004, and that camera is the one and only, the world's first digital rangefinder, the Epson R-D1. Now, if you had told me 16 years ago that 16 years later I would still have this camera and let alone still be shooting with it, I'm not sure I would have believed you. Hey guys, what's going on? Sam from CameraLegend.com, and I am back with you today, right here on Roosevelt Avenue in Queens, man. There's a Jollibee right here. It's a favorite of the Filipinos, but I'm not Filipino though, but I like it too though. And I got my trusty Epson R-D1 with me today. All right, so we'll do a little shooting here today. All right. Now I can say for sure that part of the real appeal of the Epson R-D1 are the looks, the feel, and the handling of this camera. This is a digital camera that actually looks and feels like a real film camera. All right, so here are some of my most recent shots with the Epson R-D1 on Roosevelt Avenue, Queens, New York. Now, I've always loved Roosevelt Avenue because it has a lot of flavor. And, you know, anytime you go out shooting the streets, you're not always going to get winners, but you're hoping that you're going to have one or two shots that you might like. And the Epson R-D1, you know, it really handles well, and it always comes through with great color. And I really love using it for street photography. In fact, it's one of my all-time favorite street photography cameras. And yeah, there's actually a railroad off Roosevelt Avenue, believe it or not. Now, I don't know where that railroad leads to, but there's actually a railroad there. So, like I said, these are just a few of my most recent images before we go into the cool and geeky image analysis. The Epson R-D1 was introduced in 2004 by Epson. The camera was built by Cosina and is based on the Voigtlander Bessa R series of cameras. All right, so let's get to the heart of the Epson R-D1, and probably the most alluring thing about the Epson R-D1 are these dials right here. These analog dials made by Seiko, which is Epson's parent company, all right? Now, the dials are not just here to look pretty, they actually serve a purpose. It only accepts 2 gig SD cards max, all right? And ergonomically, the Epson R-D1 is just fantastic, just the way I like it, with the nice big shutter speed dial right here. And you change your ISOs right over here from ISO 200 to 1600, right? Now, the next big thing that is so alluring about the Epson R-D1 is this analog winder, which actually serves a purpose, which is to cock the shutter. It really gives the R-D1 a film-like feel when you're using it. Now, as great as this winder is, and it is great, I think a lot of long-time Epson R-D1 users will tell you, including myself, that sometimes when you're actually out shooting with the camera, this mechanism can actually get in the way and kind of disrupt your flow. Because even now, 16 years later, sometimes I forget that I have to wind it, and it just kind of throws me off. But it is what it is, and you just have to get used to it. And last but not least of the features that make the R-D1 so great, I would say, is this glorious 1:1 life-size viewfinder. Now, I would say that it is actually understated and underrated by folks who are actually looking for the R-D1, but for actual users of the R-D1, I think they would agree that it is one of the best, if not the best, features of the R-D1, and for me, certainly the most useful. You know, it makes composing real easy. The rangefinder is easy to see, easy to focus, and it sort of makes up for the short rangefinder base of the Epson R-D1. All right, you guys, so in 2005, I had a Voigtlander Bessa R3A, And aside from having a misaligned rangefinder right out of the box, it was actually a great camera once I had the rangefinder fixed. And that got me interested in the Epson R-D1. All right, so the R-D1 plays really well with those vintage lenses that you're likely to use with them. The color images have a very nice, warm, and nostalgic look to them. Now, even though 6 megapixels may seem a little low by today's standards, thanks to the sharp Sony CCD sensor, this camera can actually pull out surprising detail with the right lenses. Dynamic range is 2004 era, so you just gotta be a little careful with your exposures, especially with the highlights. And the Epson R-D1 does really well with high ISOs, which in this case is ISO 1600. The Epson R-D1 also does very nice black and white images. So as much as I love the R-D1 for color images, I probably love it even more for black and white images, because the R-D1 actually does very well with black and white conversions. You can definitely get images with a film-like vibe. And I've taken some of my most bizarre street images with this camera, and I'll have to tell you guys the story behind these images in another video when we have more time. So in closing, I just want to say that the Epson R-D1 is a fantastic camera that I have thoroughly enjoyed using for the last 16 years, and it is a camera that I continue to use to this very day. All right, so here are some issues that I've encountered with the Epson R-D1 during my 16 years of ownership. The first thing you'll notice right away is that the camera does not look as pretty as it should, because the rubber grips have fallen off. And don't sweat too much about that, because that's just purely cosmetic. A more serious problem that you might have is this. Now, I'm going to show you this. Actually, only in the past couple of years, it has started to malfunction a little bit, see? So now I can barely make out the images that I take. But I don't view that as a negative, because to be honest with you, it has lasted a lot longer than I ever expected. I actually try to look at it in a positive light, because now it's become more like a film camera than ever. You know what I mean? Now, one of the other great things that you could do with Epson R-D1 is to flip that screen over and really make it like a film camera, or make it feel like a film camera, because when you're shooting with it with the back like this, a lot of people are going to ask you, is that a film camera? And you could say yes. Okay, so the last issue I've encountered personally with my Epson R-D1 is that the rangefinder has gone out of alignment at least twice in the last 16 years. And so this is very much like the Bessa R3A that I had with the misalignment of the rangefinder. It's not a big deal, I mean, if you know how to do it, but I've not tried it with the RD1. I did fix the one on the R3A, but with the RD1, I believe it's a little different, and I sent it to a very well-known facility that takes care of the Epson rangefinders. So I'll put that in the link in my article so that you guys can access that if you need to. All right, so here's what I call the D100 dilemma, which you should consider if you are considering buying the Epson RD1. So the Epson RD1, the prices are trending anywhere from $1,600 to $2,500. And that depends a lot on the model, the condition. They're all pretty much the same cameras. But the Epson R-D1, as I said, on the market now, trending anywhere between $1,600 to $2,500. The Nikon D100, same sensor, trending anywhere between $25 to $50. Now think about it. You know, it's even for a hardcore camera geek like me, in today's world, you know, with the high prices for everything, with inflation, you know, with people starving, all this kind of stuff, it is hard to ignore that price difference. But as a hardcore camera geek, I can tell you that I love this camera so much that if it were to break today, I would probably get another one if I had the money. But the fact that they have the same sensor should be a major consideration for anybody thinking about this, thinking about buying an Epson RD1. All right, now even though the RD1 shares the same 6.1 megapixel Sony CCD sensor as these two cameras, time and camera collectors have determined the RD1 to be a much more significant camera, as can be seen by the prices. All right, you guys, well, if you're looking for the Epson RD1 or any vintage digital camera in 2022, the YouTube question inevitably comes down to, is it worth it for you in 2022? Well, unlike the Canon EOS 5D Classic that I just reviewed, the answer is not so easy. And the reason for that is it's not $200 like the 5D Classic. This is more like $2,000 now. All right, you awesome, voracious, and salacious camera geeks. It comes to that time in the video where we just got to be real. All right, so in my opinion, the Epson RD1 is among the greatest digital cameras ever made. Now, if Zach Arias thought that the Fuji X100, the original Fuji X100, was the greatest digital camera ever made, then it would only be fair that the Epson RD1 would be right there, right up there next to it. All right, but here's the reality, okay? So for a lot of you guys, I would say at least for 90 to 95% of you guys, this camera just would not make any sense in today's world, okay? You're looking at a camera that was released in 2004 with a 2002 era sensor, okay? A sensor that is not unique to this camera, as you have seen, all right? You know, the old electronics, the old school low resolution screen, the 6.1 megapixel sensor, to a lot of you guys, it's just not gonna make a lot of sense. No 4K video, you know, no live view, and to top it off, close to $2,000 for this ancient piece of technology. So I would not really recommend it to the vast majority of you guys who are shooting digital cameras today. With that said, now for you hardcore, and you guys know what I mean by hardcore, for you hardcore camera geeks who know a little bit about the Epson RD1, and I would wager to think that most of you hardcore camera geeks would probably know a lot about the Epson RD1. You already know that it has a D100 sensor and you don't care about that, all right? You already know that it has an old school LCD, low resolution LCD, that you can't really do much but see the images that you took. You don't care about that. What you care about is this. You care about this, you care about this, you care about this, and you care about that glorious 1.1 viewfinder. For you hardcore camera geeks who care about all those things, the feel, the experience, the fun factor of the Epson RD1, then I can heartily recommend the Epson RD1 as one of the greatest digital cameras ever made, and in my opinion, the most film-like experience that you can get from a digital camera. That sensor is a very nice sensor, but it's not a unique sensor, okay? But the experience of the Epson RD1 is what makes it unique. Plus the fact that it's the world's first digital rangefinder, which makes it on the collectible list, you know? I mean, that's why there's a reason why I pick up the Epson RD1 95% of the time over like the D100 or D70, or even some of the newer cameras like the Sony A7. Yeah, sometimes I pick this one up over those cameras just because of the fun factor, the fact that it makes me actually want to shoot. And that is the enduring legacy of the Epson RD1. So if you guys are into that, then it's all for you. All right, so thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate you guys. And don't forget to like this video, subscribe if you're not already subscribed. And like I told you guys before, I got plenty more surprises coming your way. Think of all the cameras and lenses that we did in under 1,000 subs. Think about it, seriously. Contax and digital, Epson RD1, Contax T2. The list goes on and on. It would take forever. Anyway, I'm dedicated to bringing you guys more of the greatest camera legends of all time. All right, so thank you guys. And until we meet again, I will catch you guys next time on thecameralegend.com. And let's get a great 6.1 megapixel sensor, CCD sensor image of you guys. YouTube! channel. CameraLegend.com